I met you through actually working the steps of Alcoholics Anonymous and beating myself to death with my progress stick. So my psychiatrist said, "Would you like to do the
Mm.
work?" And I said, "Sure, I'll try anything." And you know, I guess maybe I'd like to question something about um because I'm still not able to really work the steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. Let's see, I want to put this. Okay, I know what I want to work. I am afraid to do the work,
Mm.
and maybe I
Hmm.
want to conclude a little more
Yeah.
there because it might be something else. After doing the work and in the work, um, I guess it opened up so much that sometimes I find myself afraid to sit down and actually question things. And I guess because it was so big, when I actually went through the work. But it was so meaningful. I mean, it opened up so much in me that it's almost scary. And there's a part of me that says no. I mean, it's like, shut the door on it, shut the door on it, don't do it. And I don't know why that is. I mean, what I
Mm.
don't understand that. I know I still have the problem that I can't type. You remember?
Yeah.
I said, well,
Yeah. Typing is
I
not
got
a
a scholarship to
prerequisite
go
for
on a
doing the work.
forum and I don't know how to type.
Yes. Yes. Except for in that case. Yes. So, but this is a really good point. This is something that I think many people can relate to. I can relate to it even. There's certain places that I'm even a little scared to go to look, even with the work. As much as I love the work and feel comfortable with the work, there's certain areas are like, oh, do I go there? Can I go there? and and the feeling is something like that. It will open up too much, or it's too big. It will, let's brainstorm a little bit your thoughts. Like you said something like that. It will open up too much, or it's too big. But let's brainstorm a little bit. What are some of the things you're afraid will happen if you go into the work a little more?
Well, when I first got sober, I did a searching fearless moral inventory, which I did a resentment list on people, and
Mm-hmm.
that's before I learned anything about the work. Well, I'm going back through for the second time of doing a fourth step, and I'm finding that I'm not able to do it. And I'm thinking, well, you know what you can do? You can take these resentments and do the work on them.
Yes.
I mean, because it's a
Yes.
judge your neighbor worksheet, and that's like exactly what they are is resentments about people.
Correct. Yes. Um, Many people say that the work and 12-step programs are very compatible. Well, the work is compatible with pretty much anything, but it's very, you can take those resentments, that resentment list, and use that as an opportunity to do the work on various people, various situations. It's just a rich repository of stressful situations that can be worked. Yeah.
I mean,
So, but going back to
not
your original
okay.
fear, going back to your original fear, it's like, okay, so if you start doing that, what are you afraid will happen?
Um, that little girl get all anxious up in there, and I mean, the little girl was out full time all during the work. And I remember
Yeah.
Michelle helped me a lot with some of the little girl parts, and it was scary.
Yeah. Yeah. So, what are you afraid that little girl will do, or experience, or make you experience? What are you afraid of?
Growing up, maybe finding out who I am.
Mhm. So you don't want to find out who you are.
Well, I do, but I know, it's like taking that step out, to just like really, my foot in the water, and since I did the work, in the work session, during those 8 or 9 weeks, whatever it was, it was painful, I mean, it was painful, and it was very freeing. I mean, it's like a push pull in me, it was painful, to bring all that stuff out, and then it was freeing. I mean, it was very freeing because I didn't know there was a me in me. I didn't know there was anything
Yeah,
good to draw from here, and the work opened all that up.
yeah. But the fear is it will be painful again if you start bringing that stuff out.
Well, there's definitely a reason why I don't get my feet in the water again. I mean, when I actually graduated or got my certificate, I was like, yeah, 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 I did it. It's a lot of coaxing from you, and it's just something in there that says, don't do that. You know,
Hmm.
maybe there's a part of me that doesn't
Hmm.
want that free. I mean, there's a big part that does, but then there's something that pushes back. I mean, it's like that scared little girl that's in there that says, ho, ho, no, don't go there.
Right, right.
And there's a lot of work I want to do, like on
So,
my mom before she, because she's 87 years old. There's some things there. My brother, and I know you always told me mother, father, sister, brother, you can get the root of most of your troubles.
yeah. Well, let's play with this. Would you say this is close anyway, that it will be painful to what keeps
Yeah,
you
yeah.
close to what keeps you just dipping your toe in? Yeah.
And you think it's all right to
Okay,
question
let's
something
play with
like
it.
that? Because I know you always say it's better to question somebody else, instead of myself.
Well, there are different types of stressful thoughts, and I would say most are judging somebody, right? Judge your neighbor worksheet. And like I said, mother, father, brother, sister, teacher, student, client, boss, all those people, those are those are where I do most of my work. But this is more questioning a resistance thought to actually doing the work. So it's kind of like an underlying belief that is lurking, and it can be questioned directly. So it's not a judge your neighbor worksheet, but it is a stressful thought, and as such, it can be questioned the same way.
Maybe this will help me to be able to get in there and really do some work on step 4 that I was working on.
Okay, let's play with it because it applies both to, um, yeah, it applies to doing the 12 steps as well. But let's keep it focused for
Okay.
now on doing the work on any of those resentments or something that you want to do the work on. So it will be painful. Is it true?
Yes.
And can you absolutely know it's true? It will be painful if you do the work.
No.
So, how do you react? What happens when you think it will be painful and you consider doing the work on, say, that resentment list or on your mom or on other topics? How do you react when you think it'll be painful?
Um, my body gets tight. Get a knot in my stomach. My fingers just kind of, it's like my whole body just gets a little tightness in it. My jaw gets tight. can feel some wrinkles in my forehead. Um, tightness in my chest.
And what are the past images you see when you think it will be painful doing the work?
The resistance. Maybe resistance isn't the right word I want to use. I remember in the different facilitators that were there to help me with my turnarounds. Because I was getting them all confused. The fear of the opening up, something that's been closed up for a long time.
Yeah, yeah. So as your mind thinks about that, and it'll be painful, what do you see? What are the images? What are the memories?
I can see tears. I can see that. Oh wow, lots of energy going on.
Mm. And do you see the times in the past where you did the work and it was painful?
There was a lot of pain in the one I did on my mom and on my dad. And it was painful to my mind. I mean, my mind was just so sure that, and it's that is leading up to the fear that I have now and the resistance that I have now. It's going to be just like that.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the fear. It'll be painful. It'll be like when you worked on your dad or worked on your mom.
Golly, I need to be quiet because it just opened up some other things there for my turnarounds.
Yeah. So, how do you treat the work when you think it will be painful?
Hmm. I don't think I treat it good because I don't give it a chance to. I mean, I just throw it down. I mean, and I don't treat me well either because I know that during this second time of doing my fourth step, it asks, where have I done the same thing that I'm resentful of these people at? And I'm going, this is like the work. This
It
is like the
is.
work.
Yes. They're both work.
Like this is like the work.
Yes.
And so why not I do no work on this?
Yeah, it's a turnaround. So when you think it will be painful, how do you treat the work? How do you treat the fourth step? How do you treat anywhere moving in that direction?
With lots of resistance. Um, not giving it a fair shot, not giving myself a fair shot.
Yeah.
The need and
And
want
then,
to
as
be
you
free,
described,
the need and want to be
it,
free is not. I'm not giving myself that, and that's why I got sober. Is I wanted to be free.
hmm,
You know, I'd never been free, and you know the free I'm talking about.
yeah, yeah. So when you think it's going to be painful to do this work, then you just
There
dip
goes the
your
free.
toe in it.
There goes the
There
free.
goes the free. Yeah. I'll just wait on that. Yep. Yep. Yeah. Totally understandable when you're believing that. Of course. Safety first, right? Stay away. It's going to be painful. I'm not going there. But who would you be without the thought that it would be painful?
Wow, I could possibly be free. Um, Definitely with a lot less tension in my face and my chest and tightness in my jaws and my forehead. Um, wow, I may be able to put the little girl to some kind of rest there. And I could give myself a chance to gain the freedom that I wanted so much, that I want so much.
Yeah. Yeah. So notice how this thought, even if it's unconscious, gets in the way of doing any work. And without the thought, suddenly the interest is there. Oh, yeah,
And the
let me
jaw
explore.
tightness has kind of subsided a little bit. Wow, the knot in my gut's gone.
Yeah,
Golly.
yeah. So that's the power of this particular thought. This little belief, it's going to be painful, is enough to tighten everything up and stop me from doing even what I want to do, move towards freedom by doing some work. That's the power of a thought. So
Yeah.
let's try turning the thought around.
Okay.
It will be painful.
It will not be painful.
It will not be painful. That's the simple opposite. So, how could it be true? How could it be as true or truer that doing your work, maybe on these resentments, maybe on your mother, maybe on anything, won't be painful?
Well, you're right with that thought thing.
Even,
That one little thought just like really can mess up the whole circus here. Because whether I mean, it was freeing when I did it the first time. You know, it was very freeing. I mean, I found out the truth about something that I had kept to myself for 40 years, you know, and I had also found out the truth that I had put all the rage and stuff towards the wrong person.
mm, mm,
I mean, it
yeah,
was amazing. I mean, it wasn't just one truth I found out, you know, by doing that one judgment. It was like two or three different truths that I found. So
yeah,
the pain came in, I think, I don't know whether they say ego or what, trying to get me to see where, you know, this was, I don't know if that's the right word. Cause I fought it. You know, I fought it. I was,
yeah. That might be partly where the pain comes from, the
yeah,
fighting.
yeah, yes,
Yeah. I mean, truth in and of itself is truth. It's just what it is. But my resistance to it can make it a
yes.
it can it can feel like a battle, you know, it can feel painful.
And I feel like I'm
I don't
robbing
want
myself of being able to find other truths by hanging on to one specific worksheet, and the amount of freedom that it gave me, and I'm trying to call it pain,
Mm. Mm-hmm.
or I am calling
Yeah.
it pain, and I'm not really looking. I'm not giving myself the chance to look at it in the right view, because nothing ever brought me that freedom. I mean, nothing. And it was just like doing the work. I mean, that's all it was. I mean, just honestly going and doing the work, and
Yeah.
honest has a lot to do with it.
Yeah. Honesty leads to freedom. And hiding or pushing it down, you can push it down far enough where you almost don't feel it, but it's still there.
Oh,
And
yeah.
the tension is still there. But bringing it out feels like I'm going into the pain a little bit, but it's release of pain as opposed to creating pain. It's a different kind of pain.
And there's a lot of work that I want to do. I mean, like on my mom, I remember you telling me about you doing work on your mom when she died, and how
Mm.
freeing that was, because my mother's not doing well. And I have brother issues too. We did some work on Big
Mm-hmm.
Brother.
Yeah.
So
So, how could it be that doing the work on your brother, doing the work on your mother, wouldn't be necessarily painful?
because in the end it wasn't painful at all. It was very freeing. I mean, it's the only thing that ever freed me of the that childhood molestation. The only thing.
Yeah,
I mean, it
yeah,
let me see the real truth.
yeah.
And it also allowed me to be able to see that I had been angry at the wrong person for a long, long time.
So,
The
it
pain
won't be
comes in
painful. That's
here.
the term.
The pain comes from my
Yeah.
brain.
Where does that come from? Can you
The,
find it? Like, where does that come
the
from?
work wasn't painful. I mean, my head it causes me pain.
Yeah, interesting. So, we have the story that the work is painful, but it may not be the work. The work was actually freeing, but my story of, oh my gosh, this is serious, this is painful, this is a big deal.
My
That could
thinking
be
is painful.
my thinking is painful. Yeah.
That's the truth.
Yeah. And the work is like the ironic part is the work is like the antidote to thinking. It's like what balances my thinking. But I'm saying, no, no, the work will be painful if I do it. So
Oh, wow.
don't
Yeah.
do it.
I'm like, and you can't say that you can't type, because you made it where you can handwrite it and put it into the inquiry circle.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Nowadays, there's even like I know some of the transcription devices are really good, like on phones and things.
Really?
You can do it that way, or yeah, or you can do it in spoken form. You don't have to do it in written form. You can do the work with another person. So, like for example, right now we're doing the work in spoken form, and and in a way, it's easy. You don't have to write anything.
My brain would tell me things like, you can't do it with the facilitator. If it's not Todd, you can't do it. You got to do it, Todd. And you remember I asked you, I was like, there's people on here telling me what to do. You said, yeah, they're facilitators, and you listen to them. I'm like, huh? You're like, yeah.
Four questions and turnarounds. That's what the work is. And a facilitator just gives you those four questions and turnarounds. That's all. So we're in the turnaround. It won't be painful. Can you find any more examples how it won't be painful or it might not be painful if you dive in and did some deep work.
Well, I mean, and I have to look at recently, I did the work again on my daughter with you, and it wasn't painful. It was very freeing, when she was cutting herself. I've done the work on my
Mm-hmm.
husband walking out on me that night, and it was very freeing. It wasn't painful.
Mm-hmm.
And
So
there
nice
may
to
have
find the
been,
counter examples, right? You've been focused on the one example of like working on child molestation from 40 years ago, and then you're assuming that all work is going to be like it's going to be
and
on
that's
that
not
level,
true because I've
right?
done the work
That
even in
that
the last month, or so. I mean, I've done it. It wasn't painful. It was very freeing.
yeah, yeah. And if you even look closely to that work that you did on the molestation, like when you actually look at the work itself, like actually going through the 4 questions and turnarounds, how painful was it?
I have to look back at that. I had to shut the door there. I'm like, I mean, I
Yeah,
know by memory what I found out. But yeah, that would be interesting to go back
right,
and look at, just the steps, that I went through there. I don't know, unless I
right.
would
I mean,
scare me.
basically, it was the work, so you know.
I lost you. I can't hear you.
Okay, hold on.
There you go. I can hear you now.
Testing. Okay, you can
Yeah.
hear me now? Okay.
Yeah.
Um, so you know it was the work, and it was 4 questions. So you were probably asked, "Is it true? Can you absolutely know it's true? And
Yeah. My mom didn't
how do you
believe me when I told
react?"
her. Yeah.
So answering those questions, have you experienced the actual answering of the questions to be painful in comparison to thinking about, oh my gosh, I don't want to bring up this big issue?
No, because
But the questions
I
themselves,
remember now that we went through what happened when I told, and she packed up my things and got me out of Santee, so she did believe me at that point. And then some other things happened, and I didn't go back to Santee for a long time. And it was just like one thing backed up behind another that just was like the foundation laid in place for this whole truth to come out. 'Cause without a good foundation,
hmm,
you can't build anything on it. So I mean, the
hmm,
because we went through like days, of doing the work, I mean, it was days
hmm.
that I went through that. So it was like one thing built on top of another. That it was like, yeah, she did believe me.
So was there anything in that process, the actual questioning, that was painful other than
Me,
your thinking about it?
me,
Yeah.
me and my thinking.
That might, exactly.
Does that make sense?
My thinking, it does make sense. My thinking goes something like this. Oh, this is a big deal. Oh, this is serious.
Oh my
Oh,
God,
this
this is
is
40 years
uh
old.
yeah. Oh, like the oh my God, that kind of thing. That's painful. Like it amps it up, makes it something huge. Um, and what the work does, what those questions do, is they reverse that process. They just say, oh, was it what you thought actually happened? How how much of it was caused by your thinking? How much, like, how serious was it? Like it brings it back down to size.
So
And
much
so
of it
it's
was caused by my thinking because as I think back, I'm like, you're the one that put yourself in the floorboard of the car during this time. You're My thinking did that, not the work.
right, right. The
So that
thinking
wasn't
loves
painful.
drama and loves
Painful
to
is what
make it.
I did to me.
That's it.
Wow,
That's
that
it.
just like gave me a lot of room there. Wow.
That's cool. That's a cool turnaround. So doing the work doesn't necessarily have to be painful. Just depends on what thinking I bring along with the work that can make it
Absolutely.
painful or not.
Absolutely. I mean, I just got like a
Yeah.
really open space here to where I'm I'm thinking I might can do my resentment my resentments on here and get rid of this stuff. You know, I could really like to do this.
Yeah. Yeah. It comes to me many times, even though, like I say, there's some things that I probably tiptoe around and still are a little fearful to do. But
Not
like
you.
most of the time, most of the time, I'm excited to do the work. I really am. And it's like, I wonder what I'm going to learn, and I wonder what I'm going to release. And it's just like it's exploring, and it's a surprise. And I usually come away feeling more light and more buoyant, and so that's more in the same vein here of it won't necessarily be painful. My thinking about it could be. That's a different thing.
And just
Beautiful.
knowing that opens up an area to where I can give myself a break on this is not the same worksheet, you know, and I know what I did to myself then. I don't want to do again. You know, I just need to be honest, open myself up and answer the questions because as long as I follow the script there, I mean, I can't lose.
That's it. That's it. That script, those 4 questions and turnarounds, always points me back to myself, to the place of peace inside of me, to a place of balance inside of me. And so just follow the pointers and see what you find. And yeah,
And that's what
doesn't
the
have to be
fourth step
painful at
is
all.
supposed to do. It's not really about them people. It's really about me. And that's what I found out in
That's
the
it.
work.
That's it. And that's when you start to come in contact with yourself. You start to find out, as you said earlier, find out who I am a little bit. And it's not like something bad. Like there's an intelligence inside of me. There's an awareness, there's a wisdom, there's a resting place inside of me. And that's the opposite of painful. That's a very peaceful kind of place.
This is cool though, because you know, only only some kind of intelligent force could have brought this here right now because nothing happens by mistake, I don't think. And I was a little scared when I first got on. I said, "Only me and Todd." I'm like, "Yeah," and you open yourself up to take full advantage of this because you know that little scared girl in there
Look
wanted to
at you.
shut down and go, "Oh, God."
Right. This is going to be painful, right? It's that little fear, like even in a small way. And then, but what I love about you is that you have this courage to just go in anyway. And that's what you did just here. And each time I go in and do a little more of this work, I have a little more courage to do a little more. And I don't have to push myself. I don't have to like, you know, drag myself kicking and screaming to do the work. I can just invite myself and do what I am open to do, because we're treating this inner part of ourselves. We're starting to treat it with respect more instead of trying to smarten up and whack it around and
Yeah,
be forceful with it. We're trying to listen to it and let it share
let it
its
come out
wisdom with
in a
us
way.
and let it come out. So even when I'm doing the work, I like to be gentle with myself and just say, okay, are you ready to do this work? Would you like to do this work? And sometimes I'll be like, no, I'm not quite ready. And then, but I'm open to this one, or so that kind of conversation sometimes makes it feels like there's a certain respect that I'm treating myself with that allows for me to be more open and more relaxed when I'm doing the work. But
Thank you so
what
much.
I find is the courage just keeps increasing, and over time, I'm like, I bring on the big stuff. I'll go
Yeah.
anywhere, and a lot of times you do,
Thank you, Todd.
because it all turns out to be not as big as I think. That's the funny thing. I think, oh, big stuff, and what big stuff?